Hello and welcome to another episode of A Sculpted Journey of Ireland. We've all driven past them, we've all admired them, and even criticised them. But how many of us know the stories behind them? This week I'm visiting a sculpture which is perhaps one of the most popular on our Emerald Isle. Every time I talk about the Irish motorway sculptures, people invariably mention this one first. And here is the Gaelic Chieftain, standing proudly on the embankment of the N4 motorway just outside of Roscommon. Now that's what I call a work of art. Unveiled in 1999, the sculpture depicts Red Hugh O'Donnell, who some 400 years earlier led his troops through the nearby Kellew Mountains to one of the biggest ambushes against the English in the history of the state. It became known as the Battle of Kellew Pass. 17,000 English troops landed here in Ireland to reclaim the land of Sligo. However, they underestimated the firepower and the sheer resilience of the Irish rebels, and when they began advancing through the Kellew Mountains, they soon met their match. When the battle had been won by Red and his men, the head of Sir Conyers Clifford, who was leading the English troops, was cut off and presented to Red at Collooney Castle in County Sligo. Well, as Red stands here basking in all his glory, I'm off to meet this proud chieftain's sculptor, Maurice Harron. Maurice, lovely to meet you. Great to see you. So, at long last, we made it happen.
Well, special day.
Shall we? Maurice has a studio just outside of Derry, and it appears work never stops. In fact, I would liken it to a maternity ward for sculptures, constantly breathing new life.
It's quite old now. It's supposed to be about, it's over 20 years old. And they announced the thing for Red Hugh O'Donnell, and I knew a bit about it because I lived down there. I lived in Curlew Mountains, and I knew that Red Hugh O'Donnell lived around there. And so I just created the figure of the man, the horse on the pass, patrolling the mountains, as it were.
Does the story behind it feed into your inspiration for whatever you're going to create?
Absolutely, it does, really, it does. I've always loved horses, and I love the idea of just a figure, and a monumental figure at that scale. It's much bigger, about 18 foot high, and they're made in stainless steel and bronze. What do you think people think when they drive past your Gaelic Chieftain? Well, just pause for the moment and just the glimpse of the thing on the mountain. It's a different world. It's a different, absolutely transports for a moment or two into a different planet. Before cars and before that sort of world. Describe the process of making a sculpture. Just by magic. I don't know how it happens. Things are given, they never comes up with an idea. I come up with the idea. That's the way it works. So if somebody comes along to you and says, we've got an idea, we'd like to commission you to make it, where does it go from there? Generally, they'll throw the idea past me and I'll think about it. And if it sort of catches fire in my mind, I'll go ahead and make it. And if not, I'll not bother. How much of Maurice Harron is in every sculpture you produce? Well, I think it has to be 100% has to be in it, of me in it. My spirit has to be embodied in the actual work itself. Is there a time you have to hand them over, a little bit like a parent watching their teenagers leave their home for the first time? How does that feel when that moment happens? There's a sense of liberation when the thing goes away, leaves it. It belongs to a lot of people then, and they are completely responsible for it. And so it's liberation from the thing itself, because I'm entrapped by the thing until it's made. So how long does it take, Maurice, from storyboard to sculpture? How long does that process take? It takes about 3 months. To make the Gaelic Chieftain? Yes, intensive work. I thought you were going to say 2 or 3 years. Oh, no. No, we're talking months. So you just throw them up and move on to the next one? That's right. That's it. It becomes obsessive. That, you know, a group will have to struggle with it to find the essence of the person, or whatever it happens to be.
You certainly found it with the Gaelic Chieftain.
Thank you very much.
Maurice is the proud creator of countless sculptures which adorn our roundabouts, as well as highways and byways here in Ireland. Another of my personal favourites is this one, affectionately known as the Tinnies. It's 3 musicians along with 2 dancers to reflect the area's rich social heritage through music and dance. It is situated on an old border checkpoint in Strabane, and another twist to this is that at certain times of the year they mysteriously take on new guises, and recently paid a fitting tribute to the NHS staff. Do you ever go and visit any of your sculptures just to see how they're getting on? I do.
I enjoy that, an odd visit to places. The thing down in Reggie O'Donnell, I visited it. I was surprised at how well it looked. You know, it survived better than I have survived. I'm proud of the things, and I've never been disgraced. I've tried to honour the subject of the thing. I've tried to honour the person in question, and that's always been the factor in all of them.
Art and sculpture, by their very nature, are contentious.
It's quite acceptable to not like things, and you know that's we just live with that.
Why do you do this, Maurice?
Obsession. It's a recreation of childhood. I'm basically playing with things, playing with images that evoke my childhood in Donegal, and so it's a wonderful thing, really, to have this thing to go into.
Do you ever hit a block where the creativity doesn't flow?
No, it's never happened to me. It just flows all the time.
If you were to have a legacy in terms of sculpture, what would it be?
I suppose the one that the Chieftain is up there with it.
Hear, hear. Go forth and conquer. Maurice Harron, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to me.
Thank you.
I've been a huge fan of your work for years, and indeed, and I don't mind telling you this, it's your work which has inspired me to do this series. So I'm very honoured that you've taken the time
Thanks very much indeed.
Sit and talk to me. I really am. Thank you. There aren't many days where I can go out for a spin and return utterly humbled and in awe just from being in the presence of someone. Today was one of them. Thanks for tuning in, and join me next time as my quest continues to unearth the stories behind these magnificent pieces of roadside art in a sculpted journey of Ireland.